If they had today's resources, what would those guys would have built? There it is. We built these cars completely from scratch. This is a really neat car. It's got a kind of a cool story. We used to take care of all of Daryl's cars for him, well, we still do. We built this entire car here, was laying on its side in a barn for the last 40 years.
So we're here at the garage shop, and we're going to show you what they got going on in the new shop here. You might remember the garage shop and Aaron.
Done some stuff together. It's been a good time. I'd like to welcome everybody to our new shop, and we're going to go for a little walk to see some stuff. All these cars are cars that either I've worked on or restored throughout my career. This is an engineering department. This is where all these ideas start now.
Is there a reason Spencer's desk is closest to the fridge?
Yes, there is. Back here is where they do all our 3D printing. These are our printers. They're Fortis 450s. Like this is a mock-up carburetor, radio boxes, and the little NACA ducts for Xfinity cars. And we print 13 different types of materials, so we can print end-use projects, you know, pieces. We can even print carbon fiber. And now here's where we start to go into the parts room. Years ago, I bought out CNR, all the CNR race transmissions when PWR bought CNR. And then with that, X-Track called me, and because X-Track used to make all the internal parts for CNR transmissions, the NASCAR transmissions. So we made a deal, and I bought all the remaining X-Track parts from them. So we're the only people that, if you have a CNR transmission, that have parts to fix them. And that's what we've been racing in our cars for a lot of years. So when the opportunity came up to have all the parts and all the transmissions, yeah, we might as well. The same thing with our gear inventory. This was one of 200 engines built by Ford for NASCAR, but NASCAR banned them, so they ended up using them in drag races. A 427 Camry. Do some Google and read about some cool history on engines. Google that one up.
We did a video with Ed Pink about this, but he talked about the drag racing side. We don't know much about the original intended purpose of it, because he never did that.
Yeah. So, you know, NASCAR was like, nah, we're not playing that game. We built a Roadster for Bonneville that this engine fits in. But in the meantime, we had also bought 2 427 Holman Moody 427 engines and 3 Boss 302s. So before we, you know, dove off into the 427 in there, we ran the 427 tonal port motor. And then right now, the car's on the way home from California. It has a Boss 302 in it that Jeff Collins built. There's 560 horsepower out of a Boss 302 motor. So we're going to get to that one. But this is some of the complete transmissions that we have. We have enough parts and pieces to build probably 30 transmissions, 30 to 40, and still maintain the entire fleet.
Only 30?
Yeah.
Are you sure you don't need more?
You never know. I've seen the way some people drive. This thing's really cool.
Yeah, what is that?
This, my friend Vance, I think it's a Starfire or something. Something like that. He bought this car that was the very first turbocharged engine in America. So he has the car, you know, it's all restored and everything. Well, he finds this motor on the internet that was laying on its side in a barn for the last 40 years. It was terrible. I mean, they sent it down the shop, and it's all aluminum block. It looked like it. I mean, I was like, let's put that in a dumpster.
Yeah.
So I called Jeff Collins and I said, hey, this is going to be a long-term project. It's not, doesn't need done now, but, you know, take this with you and tinker with it. And it took him about 6 months, but that's what he showed up. It was brand new. It's perfect.
6 months isn't really a long time in engine world either.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, and these are unobtainable parts that he had to find.
What year would this have come out of?
Like 62 or 63.
That's crazy. I didn't know there was a factory turbocharged car in the early 60s.
Yeah, it had water injection. I mean, it's a really neat, super neat piece. And it's all aluminum, the whole thing.
Sounds like some guy came home from World War II and was like, guys, we got to put this on a car.
Yeah, we got to do something.
Some airplane mechanic.
Maybe one of them Tucker engineers decided they had to do something cool from the 40s, you know, the Tucker cars. And these are our spare motors. This engine right here is a brand new Ford C3 motor. That is a 305 cubic inch engine. Is a Trans Am motor.
Oh.
So that engine right there is one of 5 remaining, or one of 5 that Ford built, all aluminum, for 24 hours of Daytona. ECR SB2s, there's some FR9s, and I think there's 5 or 6 Dodge R6 motors that are all brand new. But, you know, this is kind of our parts room. We're just getting moved in, so we're still sorting through, you know, kind of a lot of stuff. What's really cool about moving is I found so much stuff I forgot I had. This is our machine shop area. We got to have capabilities, do little things, you know, but any of the big stuff we'll send out. But, you know, any trim this, do that, you know, got to have capabilities to do a little something, something. Kind of our sheet metal fab area here, out here. And then back here is the heavy fab area. Pretty much all quantum tables, fixtures for all the cars we build. We have, I think, over 100 feet of quantum fixturing tables. We can build anything you want as long as you want. Motorcycle sidecar streamliner that we're finishing up a restoration on that's going to Bonneville.
Who's driving that?
I think Vance is going to give it a shot before he drives the big streamline.
That sounds terrifying.
This car here, I got this car from Ray Evernham and we started restoring it. It's mine. This is Mike Stefanik's Big Red 2 from 95, 96. And this is the car that Mike won the championship in, won all the races. It's kind of a side project, but we were real fortunate to get it. When we got it, that we hung a new front flip on it, blasted it, repowder coated chassis, new body. So we got all new suspension parts we built for it. You know, I'd like to actually go race it. I don't want to be a garage queen. You know, they got the vintage series, which is a lot of fun.
That'd be cool. I guess for people who don't know, I don't know much about modifieds, but I know Mike Stefanik is a big deal.
Yeah, Mike was like, I would say Mike was like the Dale Earnhardt of the modifieds. You know, he ranks right up there with Richie Evans and, you know, Jeff Bodine and all them, you know, guys.
So what's this thing back here? We can't just walk by that.
This is a drag and drive car that will be a drag and drive car eventually. We built this entire car here from scratch. Right now, this car has a 7-speed Liberty transmission in it, the Noonan Heavy with the single turbo. This is all the stuff we're going to run in the Streamliner, the 400-mile-an-hour car. So we needed a smaller platform to go, you know, to test all this. You know, hauling the 38-foot car to see Morris to do Eddie Dyno, you know, not real productive.
So you just built a drag car for a test sled.
Yeah. So all this, everything here was built, everything was built in house. We're going to use this car to mainly gather data for the traction control, boost controls, all that different stuff. Have yaw sensors for parachutes. We're going to use this car as a test bed for all the electronics for Streamliner. We've got over 100 pulls on it. They made 3,700 horsepower up there at Steve's with only like 35 pounds of boost. So they really got some stuff figured out. The ProCharger just wasn't going to get it done, you know, for what we were wanting. It just wasn't controllable. And we tested it and tried it, and they made good horsepower with it. And we just chose, once we saw all the data, we just chose to go a different direction. The reason that we're using the single big turbo versus a twin turbo is we don't need that instant bam of power in the Streamliner. You know, we need to be able to control the power. And honestly, through our race simulation models that we already wrote, we're not gonna need near the horsepower that this motor is capable of. We'll have it on tap, so when we find something, get it better aero, we got active aero on that car and everything else. So when we get it better, we'll have more on tap. But I mean, Steve and them guys, you know, 3,700 horsepower, runs 2,500, 3,000 horsepower all day long. I mean, can't go wrong. I know he did some videos up at his place. So if you go over to Steve Morris Engines, he has videos of this engine's package on the dyno, on the test stands and everything they built. So
you have two of these, or is this the same one that's going to go in the
Turo?
Oh, okay.
It's just a mock-up.
Of course it is. That's what you get around here. Whatever you can see, there's more that you don't see packed away somewhere else.
Yeah, there's always something. And actually, this is the rear end that we're going to be putting into the Pro Mod. And if you notice something different about it, it's a quick change. We worked with Don Ferguson out in California. They had built the original, hand machined the original ones, original center sections for these quick changes for the Speed Demon and Streamliner. And so we were just going to buy one from him. Well, he didn't want to build them anymore. So we bought the rights, scans. So we took his rear end, scanned it, re-engineered it with all the tolerances for CNC instead of the hand machining. Had Gleason make the ring and pinion. All the specs were done here between Jeff Horton, Spencer, and Fuzzy and them. So they put all this together. They take the 10-speed Liberty transmission to Indianapolis to ARC, and the whole package 97% efficient. It's only losing 3%.
And what's a normal number for a rear end of efficiency?
Not a non-race one, probably in the 80s. You'd be high, like a street one.
That's a massive difference.
And that's horsepower. Especially at 450 miles an hour.
And for a garage full of some old NASCAR guys are doing like some aerospace level R&D in here that would rival like large corporations.
Well, we surround ourselves with really good people. Like Jeff Horton from Sedev. He was a big player in this project. Spencer, on his end, and, a few other people. ARC and Indy, Automotive Research Center. When you take on a project like this, thinking you can do it all on your own, unless you're like Ford or Chevy or something, it ain't gonna happen. So you need to find people that are passionate about the project and want to see it succeed. And then that small group of people and then make it happen. This is the 88 car, which is the sister to mine, the 281. Roush Yates engines. And these whole cars, both these cars were built in less than 6 months here. From start to finish.
You could definitely see the stock car DNA in the in the construction of this, not just the engine, but the way you kind of did everything. These things are crazy. What's it like to drive something like this?
I set the record at Bonneville at 233 miles an hour, two-way average, two-run average, 233 mile an hour. And we were 233 at the 3 mile, which is moving on salt. It's hard to say. You don't really understand how fast you're going because other than the cones, when you go past the 3 and you're wide open for 2 miles and you're not picking up much speed, but everything's good, and those cones are going by like a baseball bat trying to hit a ball.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you can really judge it by, because everything else is so far away.
Is it bumpy? Do you have to do much steering, or if you set it up right, is it good?
If you have to steer it, you might as well stop what you're doing. You just let that dog hunt. It'll kind of let it do its own thing. Just the only time you steer it's when you're getting ready to run out of the cones.
Yeah.
You kind of help it back. Let them hunt the other way for a little bit.
Sure.
230 miles an hour, you're roughly 5% wheel spin. So that's a lot. So 5%, 230, what's that, like 15 mile an hour?
And you land speed raced the car in front of it.
Yeah.
Also, what was the comparison of this thing at its terminal velocity versus the Roadster?
The Roadster to me was that this car in particular, the Roadsters to me were actually more comfortable than this car. This car, in my opinion, it has zero side force. Like, it has no yaw moment in it. And if you look down the side of it, it kind of comes back like a teardrop. So it's like a reverse kind of wedge shape. And when you get going down through there, I spun this one out at over 200, slid for 1.5 miles. Yeah. Went around like 8 times or something, I don't know. But the thing was with that car, it would sit there and it would just go, you could feel it like a pendulum just go back and forth. And it would go and it would hit the yaw, and then it would kind of bounce back, and then it would go the other way. And then the harmonics of it would just start hunting like that. So you're just sitting there and you can feel the whole thing. But, this car here, honestly, I don't know how they drove them at Daytona and Talladega as fast as they did without like spinning out every 3 laps. They were going 200 some mile an hour back in.
When you built this car, or were building it, didn't Donnie Allison come to your shop and what did he say about it? I remember that, but
he said Donnie came up and I worked with Donnie and Hut at the 26 car when I worked there, and Donnie was always nice to me. And we were building it. He said, Aaron, now don't do any of that speedway crap where you drop the back of this car down and expect it to go faster and all that stuff. Don't do that. And I'm thinking, yeah, okay, whatever. Well, we did that. Well, the first pass I made in this car, in a mile and a quarter, a standing mile and a quarter on asphalt, it went 226 mile an hour. But it was all over the racetrack. And I was like, that was like the first car I thought I was legitimately going to destroy. But I held on to it. And so we started raising the back of the car up, and it went away. So Donnie was right.
So you were like,
I called Donnie, and I'm like, you know, you were right. We raised the back of the car up, and it actually started driving better. So it didn't go much faster, but it drove. It wasn't terrifying. So yeah, there was that one. We also got the Daytona over there too. We'll get to that one.
This has an FR9 in it too, doesn't it?
Yes, yes. And we built both of these cars completely from scratch. We didn't stretch out some roached out bush chassis. You know, these we built these cars completely from scratch. They drive good. They're just a fun car. It's just a fun car to run. But you know, the body's all steel. I mean, we did everything, and everybody says, "Oh, the noses droop too far." Yeah, of course it is. If they had the opportunity to do that in 1969, don't you think they'd have done it?
Yeah.
We built these cars with the intention of what would those guys do now?
Like if they had today's resources on that car.
Right. If they had today's resources, what would those guys would have built? There it is. That's my opinion.
I feel like this right here is the epitome of what a significant portion of people wish NASCAR was today, or had. Like, imagine a whole series of cars that were built like this, like with a modern type chassis under it, but these older bodies.
Well, and the ability to work on it and work hard, and the ability to, you know, work with your team and like really do something. You know, I mean, spec racing to me is mundane at best. I mean, that's just how I feel about it. I mean, what's the point? Well, they'll get rental cars. The last generation of real cars, whichever generation would be, like pre-COT.
Yeah, that would be the 4, the cool one.
Yeah, everybody always says that. I don't understand that gen thing. Who made that up? You need to stop it.
I don't know.
Right now, I'm in a 2019 Cadillac Escalade that I rented on Turo. Turo is the world's largest car-sharing marketplace. You can rent any car you want, whenever you want, wherever you want. You coordinate directly with the host or the owner of the car. When I booked this Escalade, it gave me the option to message the host through the app, text them, or call them. It was sitting outside their house all cleaned up, waiting for me. You go in the app, you say you're there, and it asks you to take a bunch of pictures from different angles. It shows you where to do it, just to kind of show this is what it looks like before I got it. You can skip the rental counter at hundreds of airports in the United States and coordinate directly with your host through the app. Click the link in the description, download the app, and check it out. You don't have to do anything with it, but it's one of those things that's really good to have in your back pocket in case you might ever find a need for it. Whether it be a birthday, anniversary, or you just want to go do something different. Please help us help you bring you more awesome videos, and download the Turo app just to see what they have. Just keep it in your back pocket for a rainy day. You'll never know when the opportunity arises, and you'll be glad it's there.
Some of these are my cars, some of these are Vance's cars. I just got this car. We're thinking about running the vintage race at 24 hours of Daytona with this, which I think would be a lot of fun.
That looks wild.
Yeah, it's a world spec racer. Toyota made them in the 90s. And so they take them all around the world, this world spec racing thing, world sports racing thing. And I found it, and I'm like, you know, that's a neat car. It's one of those things, sometimes you just gotta have it.
You got some stuff that piques my interest back here.
Yeah, we'll take a walk back there. This is another one of our vintage modifieds. The truck, that's an old 39. That was our first land speed vehicle. It's all steel, went 214 miles an hour in a standing mile and a quarter. It holds over 30 records, and with a Roush Yates FR9. I think we were the first people ever at Bonneville as a street roadster to set a record in a street roadster with a Ford. It's a Ford, put a Ford motor in it. Why would you put something slower in it? Doesn't make sense to me. So, and then this car here, this is a really neat car. It's got a kind of a cool story. We used to take care of all of Daryl's cars for him. Well, we still do. We still do a lot of stuff for Daryl and Stevie. But Daryl had this car, and he was going to give it to the MRO. you know, to do whatever. And my friend Vance was like, well, how about if I just make a donation, you know, good sized donation to MRO? I'll buy the car, and if the MRO ever wants to use the car, just call us and we'll let them use the car. So they all worked it out, and Vance ended up buying the car. And this car supposedly, when Daryl retired, I guess some people from Juniors built it and gave it to him. It is an old Junior car, but we don't know what the history is, or where it was, or when it went, or, you know, did it win anything? I don't know. But, you know, it was given to Daryl for his, you know, when he retired from those guys up there. So we kind of take care of it, and he takes it to the track. We put like a really nice 358 in it, and she's pretty beefy.
Does it have 180 headers on it?
No, it's just standard stuff.
Oh, so this is the era that they would have had those at Juniors then.
Yeah, there was actually a set of them I saw for sale not too long ago. Somebody had them. It was up in Wilkesboro.
I have a set of those if you want to scan them and recreate them.
We might do that. And this car, Daryl gave the Nova to Dale Jr. So he called me one day and said, hey, get that Nova ready to go, give it to Dale Jr. Okay, they're all ready to go. They come over, picked it up, took it over to Dale Jr.'s. And he called me the next week. He said, hey, that Camaro, I want you to get it. Make sure Scott Bracetta gets that, you know, the Daytona Camaro. Okay, I worked with those guys because Scott had gotten into a bad wreck at Road Atlanta during all this in a Trans Am car or something. DW called me, you know, going over what cars was left and everything. He goes, which one of them cars you like over there? And I said, you know, I really like the ASA car, and we had a bunch of them still yet, you know, really nice ones, but insignificant cars. And in fact, I think that one was even there at the time. I said, you know, the ASA car, you know, because really reminds me of Daryl Waltrip. It's like, it's Rock'em Sock'em Robots, Nashville All-American 400 winner, you know, short track. It defines a race car driver. I said, that's got to be my favorite car. And he goes, okay, you can have it.
Wow.
That's what I was like, I didn't know what to say, you know. I said, well, why don't let's not go with the I can have it. I said, because that makes me feel bad. I said, and I really appreciate it. I said, why don't we go with I'll be its lifetime caretaker till we find somebody that loves it as much as I do at the end of my life. They'll take care of it for the next generation. He said, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, the ASA in the 80s, the more I learn about that, the cooler it is. Just those guys, that whole deal, and the All-Pro in the South. And
this is a Dennis Fringe car. And Dennis and his crew, this car was ahead of its time. I mean, this car was way ahead of its time with the technology that Dennis put in this car. I mean, this guy had it figured out. I'd like to get it over to Hickory and run it around a little bit.
Does it still have Daryl's seat in it?
Oh yeah, it's all there.
That's freaking cool. Frings TIG welded all of his chassis, didn't he?
Yeah, this one's TIG welded. Donnie came up, and he's the one that told us that. He goes, yeah, that's the real one, because he had two of them. One was MIG welded, and I guess it went to the junkyard. And then this one, that's how they knew this was the right car, is it's all TIG welded together.
When was the restoration done?
Well, I don't know. We just kept it up. Daryl always, when he talked about it, he always had a smile on his face when he stood by this one. You know, I mean, it's a cool story, and that race is still on YouTube. 1987 All-American 400.
I'll have to go check that out.
Yeah, he went from 8th to 1st in like the last 6 laps. Mark Martin brakes fell out, and DW just mowed him down. I guess there was some controversy at the end of the race. There was a lead radio or something. I don't know. I don't get into it. And then this is one of Vance's cars. You know, this is one we take care of for him, and you know, the 29 car and Maxwell House car.
Yeah, I've never seen the Maxwell House car. And this, I remember seeing this Mark Stahl car for sale a handful of months ago.
What a roach. I mean, I've never seen something so terrible.
I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like I remember reading somewhere that Mark Stahl said that this was the car he DNQ'd with at Daytona that led to Kulwicki getting the one race Hooters deal that turned into all of his other stuff.
Whatever. pile of junk.
You want me to leave that part in there?
You can leave that part in there because that's what it is.
All right.
I mean, it's a neat piece, but it needs, you know, this car to me is a classic example of, you know, back in the day when you had like super nice cup cars, you know, because I used to hang up bodies and help hang up bodies and work on Thunderbirds. This don't look like any Thunderbird we'd ever race because it's been molested over the years. You know, like the sides, they ain't right. You know, we never had square sides on them like that.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, there's just no. Our cars didn't look. This is not representative to what a real Thunderbird of the day would look like.
Is that one a closer example? Or not up to your standards?
No, I wouldn't race that one either. This one definitely no. I mean, this one over here is not terrible, but the problem is this probably was a nice cup car at some time, and then it got to an ARCA team and molested, and you know, I mean, look at the fender on the thing. I mean, it's like, wow. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, I could stand here and I could see like at least 10 things that aren't even remotely close. Like we never would have done that.
Yeah.
Ever. So that's kind of frustrating, but you know, the Maxwell Help cars, I mean, that's a pretty nice little piece. It's, you know, again, it's a car that kind of got lost in the shuffle. It, you know, kind of gets lost in the shuffle, and then this guy works on it and that guy works on it, and you know, these vintage guys and all these people get a hold of them and they think they're race car mechanics, you know, and it's a mess, you know, and they turn into a mess, and we see that, you know, a lot. You know, people bring their cars, oh, this is race ready, and it's like, you know, you got gear oil in your rear hubs, you know, because the seals aren't even in the rear end. You know, I've seen people use actual grade 8 bolts for head bolts and cup motors.
Really?
Go run it.
Oh,
like,
that's
hey,
bad.
Whatever y'all want to do, you know. I mean, but I mean, this car is, well, exception of the other seat, it's pretty nice, you know, but
Is it a real Junior Johnson car?
I think it was, yeah. Yeah, we have all the paperwork on. I just never dove off into it that much. We haven't really dove into, you know, working on this one yet, but we took it to the track one time. It's got old Willwood crap brakes on it. Willwood, like these 1902 type brake pads. It doesn't stop real well compared to what we can do today, you know.
What about the Durwall chip truck that you got on the pull down rig?
Yeah, that's just, we just kind of got that up there. She had a little more space on the floor, but the pull down rig, we did an agreement with Penske Racing Shocks to work together with them. It's their pull down rig that we work together, like we do our cars and customer cars, and they come here and do their cars and customer cars. And their pull down rig is, you know, Penske went all out on this one. It'll actually, like for the dirt cars or a torque arm car, they have a ram that'll activate the torque arm for dirt cars. So when they go in here and do the pull down work, they hit that ram and it does all that, you know, it moves the torque arm like it would on the racetrack, you know, with all the bird cages and everything. It's really neat. So maybe next time we're doing something like that, you guys come check that out. That'd be a lot of fun. We've had our Bonneville cars on it, learned quite a bit. You know, because we run the bird cages in the same setup as the dirt cars do, so that worked out good. But we're, you know, proud to be partners with Penske Racing Shocks. They've helped us out, and we've done the same for them. And you know, we've done engineering projects together. Obviously, we enjoy working together.
Yeah,
kind of stuff's here.
That's a big piece of equipment to just be like, all right, you're in charge of this. We trust you.
Yeah, John Quinn and Mr. Kirkendall and Aaron and all them guys. I mean, we've had a great relationship for a lot of years. They've really helped us get all our race cars where we want it. And it's really good to work with John and his group because they understand so many different facets of racing. The dirt cars, road racing, Xfinity, you know, motorcycles, all this stuff, all that experience comes together because you can take a little bit from each one of those and create some really good land speed racing shocks.
That's kind of a good summary of what you do here too. You're like kind of like a surviving pocket of a old school hot rod shop because you do a little bit of everything.
No, there's nothing we won't do
in here.
I'm not saying we're going to be the best at everything, but there's nothing we won't try for once. You know, like that Corvette, that C2 Corvette down there. That car is the world's fastest C2 Corvette. 427 Chevrolet. One carburetor. No nitrous, no turbos. It ran 235 miles an hour at Bonneville and set the record. Two-way average, 235 miles an hour on motor.
I see some NASCAR influence on this thing too. It's got the roof rails and it looks like a COT splitter.
Yeah, we did
thing
something
on
a
it.
little different in the front. You know, we wanted something a little different. The roof rails, those are mandatory by the rules.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They became a big headache because at first there was like very nominal rules on where they went or what they did. And like, again, the guys that are really smart guys, they started, oh, well, we got this, you know, let's move this in and out. Let's move that. Well, then that got Western, you know, people showing up to the racetrack with this tail shark fin halfway down the middle of the back window.
Yeah.
So now, you know, they're going to tighten up the rules, and then it moves on and on and on. But this is a, you know, pretty neat piece. But again, it's one of them cars that was kind of, you know, passed through, you know, and, you know, you get it, and, you know, rear ends, seals are all knocked out of it. Old fittings are all stripped off. You know, it's all those little things. Yeah, it's shiny paint and it looks cool, but it, you know, it make it about a lap and a half around the racetrack. You know, front brake pads are 3/4 wore out. I mean, you go road racing and your brake pad's that thick, that thing gets hot, and your pistons are sticking out that far, you know, an inch. It's just going to transfer all that heat right into the deal. So we're getting this one ready for Mark, and, you know, he's going to go up to Indy, and I hope they'll have some success. You know, our job right now is to get it as close as we can, get all the gremlins out of it, get it on the pull-down rig, get some bump springs set on it, you know, get the car where it's nice and comfortable, and, you know, hopefully he can get through Indy without any, you know, troubles, and have a decent piece to drive. And after that, we can go into phase 2, because when you bring home a race car that's not tore all to hell, well, then you can work on it to make it go faster the next time, not just fix it. You know, not fix it to get to the track.
Yeah. I got to do some of that fixing part of it right now.
You're good at it, though. You did such a good job. I'm really proud of you.
Yeah.
You did good in your race.
Did you think I would actually finish that car the first time you saw it with all the bare metal? Like,
No.
you didn't think? I figured.
Well, I knew you would, but I knew it was going to be a minute.
Yeah.
I knew you had the tenacity to finish it, and it was a nice car. You drove all the way to Connecticut to get that thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. You got back, and I was like...
Yeah, you stuck your head in the window and you're like, you got a pile of work in front of you, and walked away. And I did.
You did. Yeah, you guys did good on that in the race. I thought I liked I mean, you did what you're supposed to do. I mean, it just wasn't that you weren't uncompetitive. You weren't getting lapped every 2 laps. You know, you drove the car. I mean, you know what to do better next time. I mean, for your first time out, hold your head up high. I don't care what the internet people say.
The moral of the story is, if somebody buys one of these older cars, don't just go drive it the way it is. You gotta have,
because it ain't gonna be right.
you gotta go through it for your own safety, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Or the safety of other people, if you don't care about your own life.
And if you don't know if it's good enough, stop what you're doing. This is our setup room. You know, right now, this is my Roadster that we drove at Bonneville last year, and we set this car did some stuff that's never been done before in the history of Bonneville. We went to Bonneville in September and set the record at 233 miles an hour. And 6 days later, we unloaded the same car at El Mirage in California and set the record there at El Mirage, and got the car in the got two club hats in less than a week.
That's crazy. Did you even clean it? Like, what did you do prep wise between them?
Changed gear and wiped it off.
That's awesome.
So yeah, this car,
Y280, what's the little one for? I get that's like the Yates Davey Allison 28, but
because I didn't want a big one, I wanted the 228 to be bigger.
do you have to run 3 digits?
That was just the only number with a 28 that was available.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, we have some really, really good people that help us out. You know, Penske Racing Shocks, Snap-on Tools, Safety Clean, Cat's Coffees. Really like to send a heartfelt sadness out to my friends that Steal It. Michael Fagan passed away, you know, a week ago, and he was a big, we were a big supporter of us for 5-6 years, and Brian Binkert and that whole crew, we worked together a lot under Michael's guidance, and he passed away last week, and we're really going to miss him. And I know his wife's working hard to make sure it's still going to be out there. You know, it's one of the best coatings that we found to use in this environment. You know, and this shop, I don't just use stuff to use it. If your stuff don't make the cut, I don't care how much money you got, because the continuity of these racing teams and the performance depends on the products we use, flat out. And so we try to align ourselves with, you know, really quality people with good engineering backgrounds and you know, vision to see the future and what we're doing and what we're accomplishing. And Michael had that, and we appreciate his support over the years, and we'll continue to support Steal It forever and honor him. It's just a great man. So, and you know, in that horsepower ranch place, that you need to go there.
I heard that guy's kind of weird.
Yeah, he's different. So that's our horse farm over in Cleveland. So you have to come over there sometime.
Yeah, you get all kinds of different, all the variations of horses here, or not here, but in your life. You just love horses too much. What happened here?
Oh, those are just our roll-around tires. I mean, those were my rear race tires. They just wear out. That's probably 2-3 passes.
Oh, so you didn't
actually cut these tires at 200 mile an hour.
You didn't lock them up to do that? That's just the first place it came through?
Yeah.
And this is the kind of the...
That's our baby right there.
The twin to the 27?
You know, I was fortunate enough to live beside Bobby Isaac's sister for a lot of years, and kind of became a close-knit friend of the family. Junior Setzer and Goldie and Johnny and Bobby and Randy and Robbie and Bobby and all of them. And, you know, I really wanted to... They helped me when I had nothing. Goldie gave me a place to live, and that was Bobby's sister. When I first come down here to go cup racing, lived in a trailer right beside Goldie's house. One Bobby lived in actually for a while.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. So I wanted to do something, and we built this car on the 50th anniversary of Bobby setting the records at Bonneville. And we took this car to Bonneville and ran it at Bonneville in honor of him. His record was 216. Car ran 215. There's no real record for these cars, stock cars anymore, because that was all USAC, but I didn't want to go faster than Bobby on the 50th anniversary of his accomplishment. I didn't think that'd be right. You're there to honor it, not beat it.
Yeah.
You know, and the car had already, you know, I ran this car at 1.25 miles at Arkansas at 226 miles an hour. So the car has a wicked amount of speed in it. So just because you carry a big hammer doesn't mean you have to swing it.
Was this exhaust already like that, or did you do this on purpose?
Yeah.
Does that help evacuate air from the pipe?
I'd like to think so. We don't know. It looks cool, and it kind of makes sense. And yeah, I mean, we used to try to do a lot of our speedway stuff that way, and then they made a rule, and then you were only allowed to have so much. You always tried to make the front longer than, you know, stick out farther in the back. You know, that was another one of those things that's what speedway pipes look like, and then they got really out of control, and then they reeled it in by going, you can be a 1/2 inch in the front and 0 in the back. But no, not that. It's got to be a straight line. I think they did that in the mid-late 90s something.
And you pulled the front of the roof down a little bit?
We actually moved it back.
Really? It looks kind of compressed.
That's because it's moved. When you moved, we moved it back about 1 inch because the Daytona windshields are so stood up. They're like bus windshields.
Huh.
If you look at, you know, a real Charger, the windshields, and this one's pretty soft. We only moved that back 1 inch. We moved the roof back 1 inch.
So you keep the bottom part of the A-post where it is and just lay it back at the top?
Moved the back of the roof back, yeah. Just moved it back. We moved it back 1 inch, but this car is actually, he put roof flaps in there.
Have you had to see if those work yet?
Yes, a friend of mine did. They did. They worked really well.
Was this one more stable at those speeds than the other one?
It was a dream. It was a dream to drive. I only drove it once at Bonneville, and my friend drove it. But this car compared to the Talladega, man, it was like night and day. See, we even did just like Robert G used to do. That's the R and the G from Goodyear. His son told me that, so we did that for him.
I was just thinking that it looked like the Goodyear font.
It is. This is the Goodyear sticker.
Is that actually what he would do? He would just take the letters off of a Goodyear sticker?
Yeah.
Oh, that's easy. Now, what engine's in this one?
This is a Dodge. It's actually a Dodge, Penske Dodge R6.
How much power does it make?
850 or so.
Is this one of the ones you got whenever Dodge left Cup or something? How that
Yeah, we
happened?
bought all. Vance and I made a deal with Penske and bought all these engines from Penske. I think we bought 11 of them all together. But when you race it, this tire's about all the way up there. It'll actually come through there. The tire will come up.
Does this being open have any effect on
It did.
airflow?
When we were in the wind tunnel, it was a little less draggy.
If it was open versus closed?
Yeah. We had it blocked off, and then we unblocked it just to see, because everybody always said, oh, this deal with the Daytona is super, the fender bumps. I mean, we use it for tire clearance, so it has to be open.
Huh.
We took, I don't know, 15, almost 20 years ago now, we took this car to Bonneville, and this car went 244.9, and that was a bone stock car. We did that project for Dodge back in 2007.
Was that an R&D thing?
No, it was when Goldie passed away, she said, hey, if Bobby's records ever fall at Bonneville, you go get them back. Well, some guy in some pile of junk, well, Russ Wicks, who was actually the guy that drove our car, some pile of junk, Jimmy Spencer car went out there. The record was 216. He went like 222. So I called a friend of mine at Ryan Isabel, has worked at Dodge, and he kind of wiggled away around the corporate stuff. And 3 weeks later, we had a car, and Ray gave us a Speedway car. Joey Arrington built us the engine.
Yeah.
And like 3 weeks later, we put all this together, and we go out to Bonneville. Thing went 244.9 on a two-way average. We hit 252 with the car. Bone stock car.
Was it just like a normal open engine?
Yeah, just Joey built, and we didn't have time to do really much anything. Arrington put together the best he had. I mean, he tried some stuff, but I mean, it wasn't much more than what a stock car had. We didn't have a chance to do much to the body, and that wasn't the parameter of the project. It was a stock car. I mean, you can see in the picture, it still has the giant spoiler on it.
Yeah, it's not laid back or anything.
No.
Well, that's really interesting. I didn't know what the origin was behind that. Seen that picture on your wall a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Didn't know why.
So, and I always wanted to do it with this, and Vance Kirshner and I, he gave me the opportunity. He wanted to see the project through, so him and I partnered up on this. And if it wasn't for Vance, I mean, we never would have got this far. I mean, we would have, but it would have taken a lot longer. For the timing purposes. And we went out there and had a great time. He drove this one, I drove Talladega, and Nav TV had a TV show called The Legacy of Speed. And actually, if you go on our YouTube channel, The Garage Shop, all those series are on there about these cars running. And so it was fun. It was a good time. And not that you have to do anything with it to move forward is what I like. You do something with it when you want to.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's telling us we got to do anything. You sit there and I can drink a beer and look at it. It don't matter to me.
Yeah, it's fun to look at.
Yeah.
Especially when they're both parked next to each other.
Right.
Do you have any other interesting parts or pieces or things stuffed in your shelves and piles of random stuff you kept over the years?
That could be a whole nother show.
Maybe we should do that. We'll give you some time to dig it out.
Yeah, give them guys some time to mull over what we've seen today. And, if somebody we can get one of these other cars out, put it on stands, fire it up, and really dissect it. Might be kind of fun if somebody, I don't know, hell, let them vote on it.
Yeah, leave a comment. What do you want to see after this?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, which one you want to get out and see Mitch drive up the street? Meanwhile, he's going to leave me his credit cards, all of them.
I don't have any credit cards. Joke's on you. It'll be like a prepaid thing. I'll go to CVS and get some on our way up here.
You did such a good job, Mitch. If you can fit in it here, I'd let you drive it.
I might fit in that Darrell Waltrip seat. He's a bigger dude.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was like in the 80s, but I mean, when we
See, I'd like to find somebody with like a late model, like a Camaro, and go to Hickory Motor Speedway and do a really cool. Take that car, take somebody, the late model of today, ASA cars, based on late model stock, and compare them, do them side by side, and run them around the racetrack. I think that would be fun to see, So if anybody out there has got a really cool late model Camaro, want to do that?
Yeah, that'd be really interesting. If you drove the same person drove them both back to back and be like, wow, this one feels like that and this one does not, or this one actually kind of might do this a little better than the other one.
Kind of neat.
That'd be super cool. Yeah, you see the vintage cars on road courses, but you never see something like that. Someone just go take it to Hickory just for the fun of it.
I might even take this. That'd be fun to see at Hickory.
Would you set it up for Hickory or leave it the way it is?
I just leave it the way it is. Put a couple rounds in the right rear, raise the track bar up.
Somebody who didn't know anything was going on was walk up over the fence and be like, what the is going on here? Right. Am I seeing a ghost?
Well, I think I'd like to take it down to Hickory for the Bobby Isaac Memorial. I've been wanting to do that, but now we're so close, and maybe our friends here in Newton would give us a police escort and we can drive the car. The track's only 3 miles from here.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Right down 70.
That's perfect.
Bobby's back.
Hopefully I see this video and that could happen, because I want to see that.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
So a lot of fun stuff we can do, and we'll get after it.